Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the BLPA Podcast. On this episode, joined once again by Mason.
Heyo.
And we're actually going to talk about a tournament that we just recently went and played at, the BLPA Bash down in Columbus, Ohio. So kind of give a recap of all the good, possibly bad, and everything that kind of went on ice, off ice, and I think just kind of talk about going to travel tournaments again in general, but specifically also some of the stuff that went on to this is our third time going to one of these BLPA events, I believe.
Yeah, third time, first full team.
First,
I'll be curious.
Yeah, first time
we're
put a team together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
we've been
my
part
first time
of
captaining, which was a little different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess let's just start first off. I think start off overall with everything. How do you feel the weekend experience was? Everything, off ice, on ice.
Yeah. The whole kit and caboodle. I think it's a good tournament. It is a tournament, so you never know what you're gonna get. But it's good hang. Free food, free beer in the parking lot on Saturday. It makes it a lot of fun. Overall, pretty great tournament.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a super fun thing to do, and like we said, it's kind of it's a bring your own team tournament because BLPA does do the draft tournaments where like you sign up as an individual and you wind up with a bunch of strangers. This is bring your team, play some other teams, kind of thing. A more traditional, I'd say, fairly good tournament. And
they did have that free agent team this year, which sounded interesting. They didn't get a goalie for it, so I don't think they did very well. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, we talked to some of those guys while we were there, and yeah, it did sound interesting. They also got moved up, and I don't know if that's because there were more worse teams that pushed them up, or if they got more better people that made them have to be up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And the great thing was you couldn't ask the guys. We talked to two guys that were playing on that, and they had no idea because the one guy forgot the tournament was that weekend,
right?
And the other guy was like, I don't know, I just showed up. I might be playing goalie. I don't know. I might be skating out. I don't know. They really didn't know what was happening. But yeah, I agree. I think it's a ton of fun tournament. As far as putting together a tournament like this, I feel it's done really well from like an administrative standpoint because it's very smooth, and from a leveling standpoint, I think it's done from what I've seen and what I saw, about as good as you're probably going to get.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean when I say it's tournament. You never know what you're going to get. So this year we were pretty competitive, which was really nice, but we definitely played a team that we had no business playing, and another team was pretty close to our level, and then another team was right on par with us, I would say, if not a little better. So it was done pretty well. I mean, 1 out of 3 isn't terrible.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, I get how it's tough to do that. For background on it, for these BLPA tournaments, and I'm going to strictly speak to the Bash tournaments because I've never done draft tournaments, so maybe it's different. So when I refer to these things, I'm only talking the Bash tournaments. There is kind of a lengthy form to fill out. I've done other tournaments, and they just ask your basic info, and then hey, are you on a team or not, and what usually it's the captain fills out what level you are, and that's kind of it. And they're kind of going on the honor system. Whereas this one, they asked you kind of a lot of questions on, where had you played? How long have you been playing? Like, how good have you been doing in where you've been playing? And, which I think was good. I think it helped.
Yeah. It sounds like Nick does a ton. Nick is the guy that organizes it. It sounds like he does a ton of research. I don't know how much of it. According to his email, he does a ton of research. He could be pulling the wool over our eyes, but it seems like he puts a ton of work into it and really tries hard to make it fairly competitive for everybody, fun for everybody. So overall, I think he accomplishes that goal.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, of the 3 teams we played, I would say that one was, pretty clearly better than we were.
Yeah.
Not hugely, but pretty clearly. One was pretty clearly worse than us. And then, one was about the same, which, I mean, it evens out, which is good for us. Sucks for the team that was worse and had to play 3 teams that kind of they had no business playing. But I don't know how they filled out. I don't know what they said. I don't know what they said about themselves. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, right. And it's interesting because we've been on that worst team for the last 2 years. Like I haven't changed my answers. I'm sure you haven't. So it's just, luck of the draw sometimes, I feel like.
I think the only thing that's changed in my answers is how long I've played in our league.
Well, yeah.
I think that's literally the only thing that changes. Nothing, I haven't gotten any better in 2 years.
You just had a career year. I don't want to hear you talking about it.
A career year of still not being that good. But I was really good at not being that good this year. So just leave it at that. So just kind of chime in as I'll walk through stuff and chime in on it. Right. What you do for these tournaments is everybody shows up. This is like a Friday, Saturday tournament. That Sunday mornings are the finals, the championship games for every division. So it's show up Friday, show up yourself or with people, whatever, and you go kind of sign in. You get your little lanyard, so you're checked in. And I get the idea of having the lanyard, but no one ever checks that. And I found this at like every tournament that I think we've ever done. They always have like a sign-in process where you have to like show ID and everything, and then it's out the door after that.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure if there's like an issue with somebody where like you're watching a game and it's clearly somebody's way too good, they might check it. But I don't know. I've never seen anybody actually use those things to verify who you are afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, we've got wrist bracelets at other tournaments. You just hand that off to somebody else if you really wanted to. Yeah, it's really honor system, I suppose.
Yeah, it's always funny to me. That's like they do the nice check-in and get that, and you have your name and all the stuff on. It's like, yeah, but nobody's looking at it afterwards. Nobody's watching it.
Yeah.
And I get that you really can't police it because you have to have extra people kind of watching that. And we can have people like watching at your locker room door to see who comes in and check IDs. That's kind of what you'd have to do.
Inspector.
And it's kind of what you'd have to do. Unless you're having somebody checking, before game starts.
Right.
Which that would be awful. That'd be like the worst job to have to do.
Yeah.
Let's have the refs.
What do? You run your ID back to the locker room or something? It would just be
everybody show up with your lanyard and your ID on the bench. The refs are going to spend 10 minutes going through and verifying everybody first, and then we can start the game. And that's kind of what you'd have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know another way around that. Oh, it'd be awful. That'd just be awful. So they, like I said, they do about as good as I think you can do for any of that stuff. It's from other ones we've done. It's as organized as any of them have been. It's definitely one of the most organized and well put together and thought out ones because they actually do have like divisions and they do actually try and put people properly against other teams.
Yeah.
So
I'm always a fan of a lanyard too. I like to walk around, feel like a VIP. And they have a cool QR code on the back for free beer or something.
Yeah. And they have, so they have that for the check-in stuff. And then they always have all the merch that they're selling.
Yeah, they do have pretty good merch.
They have a lot. And they rotate through merch a lot. They have different stuff every year. So I give a lot of credit for that. And that the merch is not very expensive. It's, it's not cheap, but it's not expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I got some high quality stuff. So, I mean, it was on par for Like I got a T-shirt for $30 and it's very soft, very high quality. No complaints.
I have lots of hoodies. I have lots of hoodies from them, and they're
Yeah.
all, I like them all. So they have that, so that's nice. And then that's kind of it for check-in. It's pretty much said and done. You don't really ever deal with that again afterwards, after that first day on
Right.
Friday. And then it's just getting your team out there and playing. And one thing that I will say that confused me, and then talking to Nick, again, Nick who runs this whole thing, it confused me more, I think, but made more sense, was the fact that they have their website, which is not updated because apparently they're moving it, which I don't think is a valid excuse, but that's fine. They have their website. It's that's not really updated for, like, wasn't updated for this tournament. It was 2 years old stuff.
Yeah.
But then they have an app that you're supposed to get. Maybe you're not supposed to need the app anymore, but the app doesn't have like the schedule and stuff in there. So instead, like, he sent via email the schedule and like roster verification and stuff like that was on the website, but you couldn't get to it from the main website. You had to just use the link that they sent.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't have that handy, like, you couldn't get your schedule or anything.
Yeah, that was going to be my biggest gripe was that is you couldn't find anything. I could find the schedule from 2022. Almost I went straight to the link. That's like a low key gripe.
Yeah, that was confusing to me and kind of bothered me. But then I know, because I said something to Nick about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we haven't updated the website." Because, like I said they're moving websites, which I'm like, okay, I get it, but that almost makes it worse. I don't know. I get it, but I still don't like it. And I mean, they had the schedule up, so when you got there, they had the schedule up on a big, I don't know what you call it, like a big banner. They had
it's like one of those big dry erase tournament boards. I feel like they're at every tournament. Pretty standard.
Yeah, and they had like all the game results and the schedule and everything like that. So if you're there, it was fine. But if you're paranoid like I am, thinking that you have the time wrong, and you're sitting at your Verbo at night, and you have to go through all your emails to find the one that had the link to the thing, because you can't go through the website, and you're freaking out because you can't remember what time your morning game is. Not great. So
yeah, we were all hanging out in the Verbo, and I like at least 5 times people are asking what time our game was, and it took me forever to find it, and then I forget every time too, so that didn't help.
Yeah. So that was, I think that for me, that was the biggest, I don't know if I'd say gripe or downside, but I think that was the worst part was that.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly for that.
Which I understand it's made way worse for like me, because I'm super paranoid about this and I check everything 1.5 million times. And we have all the guys all separately ask what time stuff is.
Yeah.
Like at least 3 times a night. And I'm just used to that. And it's like, I'm used to being able to like pull it up, and we use Bench App for everything. I'm used to just pulling up Bench App and everything being there. Just check Bench App. I probably should have put all these things in there, but I didn't. I didn't go through and make a whole Bench App season for this.
Yeah.
But
that'd be cool. But it's been a lot of work.
I try and make these not a ton of work for me. Try to. Yeah. Because I'm like, hey, I'm not running this thing. I don't want to have to do a whole bunch of work. I'd kind of like to show up and play.
Yeah, to hang out, relax a little bit.
Which does not happen. I just can't.
Yeah. I will say another cool thing about Friday, Nick comes in and breaks down the rules for everything and introduces himself in the locker room. That's always nice. That's a little personal touch.
And he gives a hug if you ask him.
Ooh, that's true. You did get a hug.
If you ask, you get a hug. So if you guys do a one of these tournaments, I'm sure you do it at a draft tournament too. Just start asking them for hugs. Tell him I said he gives free hugs.
This is pure speculation, but maybe it increases your draft ranking.
I'm sure it does. I bet it helps. I'm sure that it helps. And I'm just gonna say we've played in this 3 years. For 2 years, I didn't get a hug, and our team was terrible. This year, I got a
A
hug,
hug. Oh,
and we
the
played on
hug's the
Sunday.
key.
So, just saying.
So you need a Sunday hug too. Maybe we'll win next year.
I think that's what I needed was a Sunday hug. Yeah. So you had mentioned we stayed at a Verbo, which for those who don't know, Verbo is basically Airbnb. But
I don't know the difference.
The only real difference that I know of between the two is that Verbo their kind of whole advertising thing is that you get a whole place to yourself. That's their whole thing, because more and more Airbnbs are like you get to stay in somebody's in-law suite while they still live in the house, or vice versa. Or things like that, where you don't necessarily get a whole place to yourself. It's a lot more people like, or hey, it's just a room to rent, and the people still live in the house.
Yeah, that would be less than ideal.
I'm not down for that. But I think that's a way cheaper way to do it though too.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, I think that's a lot more of those. That's gotten to be more and more prevalent on Airbnb, and Verbo's kind of whole marketing thing is, hey, no, you get the whole place.
Yeah.
And luckily, we found a place that could house our entire team.
Yeah.
Because we had 12 people. One person just stayed at their house that was like a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
But it was not easy to find an 11-person house. There was not a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
But I think it worked out well. It was a duplex. So half stayed in one half, the other half stayed in the other half. And like any good duplex, it was completely mirrored on from side to side.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, from my perspective of being the person that like booked the Verbo, it's super easy to book. I mean, it's the same as booking an Airbnb, which is kind of the same as booking a hotel. Like there's not much to it.
Right.
You give them money and they say, yeah, we'll let you in on that pretty easy exchange there. But it was super smooth. I thought it worked out really well. It was nice having everybody. I like having everybody in the same place. I think that's a super fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a neat thing of having the duplex was every so often, like one or two people would just kind of wander to the other side, and they'd be like watching some other show from what everyone's watching. You're like, hey, this side of the house is all watching, NHL playoffs.
Right.
One person goes to the other side and they're watching, I don't know, funny YouTube videos. And then like one other person wanders over, and then another person wanders over, and then it's like, hey, where'd they go? And then everybody kind of go, oh, let's go see what they're doing.
Right.
I'd
see. I was worried that things would be much more fractured because it was a duplex, right? Like I thought there'd be no room to hang out. And I will say, if you ever look at a duplex, having like that front porch area was really nice because it was like a nice overflow area. Like half of us were kind of like in a living room that looked out onto this porch. And so you could still interact with people on the porch, but you kind of have your own thing, watch TV, eat some whatever. And it just kind of made it feel a little more enjoyed, a little more intimate. Got to hang out outside, hang out inside. And then, like you said, like if you needed to take a break, head over to the other half of the house. But yeah, I think that porch tied things together real nicely.
It did. I will say too that during this weekend it was pretty crappy weather.
Yeah,
it was very rainy. So drying stuff on the porch was not ideal. A number of people did, and I don't know how dry their stuff got. I don't think very dry. And we mentioned this in like the travel episode about doing these things, is made sure that there was a washer and dryer available.
Yes,
which
it's
is
clutch.
I think is a big deal. And luckily, this one only one side had access to the basement, which was fine, and it was a very unfinished basement, but it had a lot of space in it, and it had a dehumidifier, which I think made a difference for the people that chose to lay their gear out there versus outside in the. I mean, it wasn't in the rain because it was on the porch and it was covered, but pretty much in the rain.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% humidity. You're not gonna really dry anything out in that. But yeah, and then, like, even though it wasn't unfinished, it was not wet by any means in their basement, in that basement. So it did make it really nice. And it was a huge basement. They had 2 washer and dryers, which we only used one, but it was pretty nice.
And I'll throw out here, because I forget to do this every time we do one of these things. If you have stuff that you can bring to hang your gear on, I think that helps. Every year I say I'm going to bring my gear hanger. Every year I forget it. I also think like, oh, should I bring, because I use it's basically a boot dryer for my gloves and my skates. Oh, should I bring that because it's small? No, I don't need it. Yeah, I should have brought it. Like, space was not a premium with driving. Like, because we took a number of vehicles, so people had space for stuff. I should have definitely brought that, or at least brought like a fan or something. Like, if we'd had a fan down there, I think that would have been huge.
Yeah, somebody had like 5 fans in their rooms, one in their room. So we should have just stole it, but whatever.
Yeah. But overall, I think that was really good. And I think, again, everybody staying in one place is nice. I really like that.
Pro tip right there. Stay with your whole team. Hang out all night. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and as you get to the people that don't talk to you guys a whole bunch during the year, you get to talk to them and find out stuff about them, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fun thing. It's a fun part of it. It carries over into your regular games, your regular season, regular league.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it. Your not tournament stuff.
Real life.
Does it? It does. It carries over to real life.
These are real relationships.
But yeah, so I think that's a big. I think that was a big thing with that. So again, we've talked about that before, and I reiterate that. Any other points on the Verbo? Pluses, negatives, positives, things to watch out for, gotchas?
I don't think so. I mean, the place was great. It was clean. It had enough bathrooms. I thought we had 2 bathrooms per side. I never had to wait to use the bathroom. I feel like that would be my biggest concern in sharing a house with 10 other dudes. But I mean, it worked well, and I'm pretty sure it had 2 water heaters because I always worry about having enough hot water. But there's plenty of hot water, so I wasn't worried.
Good. Yeah, that's one of those math things I always do for how many bathrooms there are when we stay.
Yeah.
Is I try to do the half the number of bathrooms approximately of people. I try and do something like that. It usually doesn't work out. But that's usually because a lot of places too have I don't know. A lot of these places when you book them, they'll say like, "Hey, we have 3 bathrooms," but it'll be, "Oh, one of the bathrooms is attached to a bedroom," which that's fine, but it depends where the bedroom is because it might be like kind of inaccessible to everybody just about. And then they'll have like 1 full bathroom, and then they'll have like 1 half bath.
Right.
And it's again, where is it? You know, kind of thing. So it pays to look at the pictures and try and figure out where this stuff is. So you get, so you don't have like traffic jams. So everyone's not using the same bathroom and having to use the same bathroom all the time because that sucks with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
Dudes are gross. And for a way to tournament or something, we're just eating crap. So that makes it even grosser. So you don't want that. But yeah, no, I thought the place was really nice. It's in Columbus, which if anyone doesn't know, Columbus, college town. So,
Yeah.
there's just stuff going on all the time, all hours. So that was a lot of the hanging out on the porch was a lot of just watching that.
Yeah.
And seeing that stuff. Also means it was very easy to find food, lots of food options for people, easy delivery options and stuff. So that's another important thing to look out for. Because other tournaments that we have played in, you don't have the food options close to where you're staying, and they're not open late.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of pre-plan a lot more. So something to think about. Okay, so back to the actual hockey of things. We talked about kind of the starting, getting everything going, getting in there. The rinks, they do these at Columbus, kind of has just one network of rinks. They're called Chiller. And there's 4 of them in the Columbus area. And they had them at 2 different ones. One was kind of the main rink, and then one kind of auxiliary kind of flow over for games. The last couple of years, they've been at another Chiller rink and had I think the same flow over games that they had for this one. And the Chiller rinks are actually really nice. They're all pretty new. They're all very similar in setup, and yeah, they're just nice. They're a pretty nice facility. Nice sized locker rooms. They're not huge by any means, but you're not crammed. There was 12 of us, and we were not crammed in there at all. People had decent amount of room. Nothing is gross.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. Like there's bathrooms and showers in every locker room separately, and they're not disgusting, which was nice. The only downside that we had was Saturday. Apparently, we ran out of hot water because people were trying to shower, and there was no hot water at all in the showers. So I'm guessing we just maxed them out for our later game on Saturday.
Yeah, and we weren't even that late. We were like 5.
Yeah, well, I think we were close to the end of the day for the Saturday. I don't think there were too many going into the evening.
Well, no, they played until 8 or 9, I think.
Yeah, that's not too many though. I mean, there's only 2 sheets.
No, but
so
still.
Yeah.
That's
we weren't the end.
3 more hours of no hot water.
Yeah. So that was whatever. I'm a cold shower guy. I didn't care, but everybody else was not really liking that. And then because that was on Saturday, as you mentioned, Saturday is the free food and beer party, which I don't want to make it sound like it's nothing, but literally all it is they have a grill. They go to, I think, like Costco or something, buy a bulk thing of hamburgers and a bulk thing of hot dogs, then fill up a baby pool with ice and just dump a bunch of different kinds of beer in it. And it sounds like it's a nothing thing, because it kind of is, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it was this year. I feel like it was less visited. I don't know. There was a lot more food this year, like ready to go, than there was in a couple of years past. I don't know if it's because it was rainy, so less people are hanging out in the parking lot, or what. But yeah, I just walked up, grabbed a couple burgers. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was because of the weather. People were not as mingly as much and going back for thirds and fourths and fifths as they had in years past.
Yeah.
And other thing I will say, my only complaint with it, I mean, it's free hot dogs and burgers. Like it is what it is, Yeah. My only complaint was all they had was beer and bottled water, until apparently somewhere at the very end there was cans of Coke floating in there.
Yeah, the last couple of years they had a couple various non-alcoholic options as far as soda went. But this year it was, I went over there the first time to grab a burger and there was nothing. And then they put out some Cokes, which was nice.
Yeah. And they get a variety of beers. So it's not just like 1 or 2. There's a couple different ones. And always they're always really good about posting a funny picture, like, Saturday morning or Friday night or whatever, of them picking up, like just a ridiculous amount like ridiculous number of cases of beers. Again, I think it's like I think they go to like Costco or something
Yeah.
and get those, and it's always they always post that, and it's always funny. So so that's always a fun time hanging out there and chatting with people and talking with other teams and your own team and whatever around there. And I felt like this year though there was more so than I remember there being people having full setups in the parking lot. Like I remember in the past people having kind of like a little bit of tailgate setups, like somebody would have a truck and they'd kind of be like tailgating out the back of the truck or whatever. And of course there's like random people with RVs always. Right. But I felt like this year there's a lot more people that had like those little party tents and like stuff set like legit like kind of setups in the parking lot.
See, I felt like it was the opposite. Like I saw the couple RVs, but I didn't see anybody. I feel like I didn't see anybody with any tent this year. Whereas normally, and I don't know if it was partly because of this other rink we were at. Like it felt like there was less parking lot in general at the main rink this year.
Yeah.
I feel like last year, there's just like a crap ton of tents, even on Friday, because there's no beer or food on Fridays. It's just Saturdays. I feel like even on Friday, people are like hanging out in the parking lot last year, whereas this year there was like nobody. We've also had like the first game, which was a little different, but
yeah, I think that last year and last 2 years, because the weather's been better, there's been a lot more people just mingling.
Right.
Like a lot more people just mingling around in the parking lot. And the parking lot was a lot larger, and it was kind of just it was a bigger lot in one space. Where this year the lot was kind of split into there's a little bit in front of the building and then a lot of it on the side and kind of around. And that's where I saw a lot of the tents, because that's where I wound up parking, was kind of around almost the back of the building. And I felt that that's where there were more people, and there was way less mingling this year. And I attribute that to the weather. Like way less people just kind of hanging around. But I thought there was more people at like they had like tents and stuff like that set up. But probably less people overall because there was less just sitting around. Because I remember the last years there was just like people everywhere. It was like sea of people in the parking lot.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Because they do say like bring like camping chairs and stuff to hang out. And I made sure to bring a couple because usually nobody does. And so I had a couple ready to go. And I'm like, but nobody wanted to be sitting really in the rain.
Yeah.
So we weren't really doing that. We were just kind of standing around.
Yeah, I brought enough for everybody in my car, and they never left my car.
Yeah, that's how mine were. So that's it's just a weather dependent thing, I think, which
right. Yeah.
That's too bad. Because that is a super fun thing. That's one of the really neat things they do at these tournaments is that Saturday free food and beer and hang out. But it's nice out. It's awesome. Because in the past we've had that where we just, are hanging out and it's just fun. It's fun hanging out. It's free food. Good times.
Yeah.
I do wish they had more options because we had we have people that have certain dietary restrictions. I don't know how you'd handle that, and you can't handle it all for everybody, but
Yeah, I feel bad, but I feel like keeping it simple is probably
the easiest for everybody.
Yeah, it's one of those slippery slope things of do something for one group of people, and then the next group needs something, and the next group, then the next group.
Right.
You're like, hey, we got veggie dogs. Oh, but we're doing them on the same grill as oh crap. Okay.
Right.
Start getting into stuff like that. Or, we have 3 prepackaged salads for people. you can have those. I don't know. I don't know what you would do. That maybe a chicken option.
You've had bad experiences with chicken at things we've been to, so I would disagree.
I'm not saying I'd have it, but I mean it would be something you could do, and that's not too bad.
If you're feeling daring, you can have the chicken.
The same thing could happen with a hot dog.
Could it? I don't know.
Sure.
All that meat is like barely meat. It's mostly salt and chemicals, right?
Yeah, I suppose. But it depends
I
what
did
kind of
learn-
chicken you get.
We did learn what I learned what a glizzy was.
I don't know how you've made it to now and not known what that is.
I've heard it before, and I was talking about it with my wife over the weekend. And I think I've heard it more referred to as like it's a Glock too. It's a slang term for a large hot dog or a Glock. I probably heard it more in the Glock sense than a large hot dog sense, but
That's even more
it was fun.
ridiculous. That makes it even more ridiculous then. That's how you know that.
I listen to a lot of rap songs. Come on, Roz.
That's true. I forgot you are in the really hardcore gangster rap.
Oh yeah, the hardest core.
Yeah. Let me think of other things, like kind of I think that covers all the like non-hockey parts of that weekend. I think that kind of covers everything. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I was just trying to think. The number one rule is don't be a dick, and for the most part, no one's a dick. I feel like that's one of the one differentiators of like the BLPA tournaments is they don't want you to sandbag. It's supposed to be less competitive. They don't want sandbaggers. They don't want dicks in the tournament. It happens, but overall, I feel like most everyone's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think you do get a lot of returning teams. A little bit I talked to Nick, as he seemed to know a lot of the teams, or at least a large number of the people that are playing on the teams and stuff like that. So I think that helps.
Yeah, I mean, he goes, like I said,
He goes and introduces himself. He kind of gets a feel for everybody. He knows you obviously, and then we've been on the same team for the last couple of years. He even held a spot for that team. Unfortunately, their captain, didn't have them sign up because he's not with the team anymore, and it was a whole thing. But it's just kind of cool to see that. Like, I don't know that any other tournament would be like, hey, like, you've had a team for years. Are you guys coming out?
Yeah, that is very true. And I will say too, just from a captain sign up standpoint, it was a very nice process for signing up, because he lets you like sign up as a captain and then either, like pay as a person and everybody pays individually, and like does like you all sign up individually and then pay, or sign up as a captain, pay for the whole thing, and then kind of like the normal everybody pays the captain, you split it up and you get the roster in for whatever it's going to be, sort of thing.
right.
They kind of let you pick, which is nice. That's nice to have that.
Did you have to like say how many people we were going to have, or was it a flat team fee?
No, it was a flat team fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was however many guys we got for it, just everybody splits up.
Right.
And then there's just the regular stuff of getting people to pay, which, it's nothing to do with this and just is fun.
Yeah.
Every captain loves that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's always the best part. And if you're like me, then you're a glutton for punishment. You also get the verbo and make everybody, and just do everything and have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that kind of covers all the off ice stuff. And then for the game stuff, two things that to me kind of stand out. We already talked about like competitive level and all that and everything. Is one, the people that are doing the scorekeeping, and the pretty good quality of that. Especially the guy that did at the end, he was playing music, which I always love when people play music when they're scorekeeping. I never do it, but I always appreciate when people do that. I just think it's super fun. So I liked that. And then also the refs. And I know that can be like a real touchy subject and real hit and miss, going from city to city with the refs. But I felt like the refs, except for one thing, and you might know the one thing that I'm going to say, except for one thing, I felt that the refs the whole weekend were really good. I thought they did a nice job of what I always say of, they knew where to be on the give a crap meter. Like,
that's a good way to put it.
I think for beer league, that's like the most important thing of like, what level of crap do you give about this? Like,
Yeah.
you get, like, this is beer league, this isn't pros. We get that. Hopefully the refs get that. But also, we all are, it's competitive hockey. So,
Right.
don't ignore everything.
Right.
And I felt for the most part, the refs the whole weekend were really good about it, really nice about it, real friendly to talk to. I am one that chats up the refs every game. And the one ref remembered me from at least last year, the last 2 years, which I was surprised, but I shouldn't be surprised at, since I go and chat up the refs every game.
Yeah.
And I always talk to the refs after the games. I always try and be friendly with them. But they were all, like I said, they were all really friendly. Everyone was super nice. They were real friendly about stuff. They were refs that you could talk to. Like, none of them were super standoffish or pissed off, which, especially when you get to like the latter half of Saturday, is shocking to me, because most of these guys have done like all the games.
Right.
And it's like, man, I don't know how you get through like doing like your 12th beer league game in a row, and you're not just like, screw you, everybody gets penalties, I don't want to hear anything. Don't look at me. That's so kudos to them for that.
Yeah, I have a problem with the refs. There's a few minor things. One I'll wait for you to talk about, and then there's one of our games where ref was just like, felt like he was always in the way.
That was the thing I was gonna say.
That happens.
Is I felt like it wasn't just one game. I felt like that was a repeating thing over the weekend of having refs that were just kind of in the way.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're just used to refs that were more cognizant of that, or more mobile or something, or I don't know, but I just felt like the refs, and not terribly, they weren't like in the middle of plays.
No.
But there's a lot of stuff of like, hey, I'm trying to rib the puck around the boards, or trying to, off the boards and get it out, or something, stuff like that. I felt like there was always just kind of a ref like plastered up against the boards for that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which, again, not a huge deal, but just a little annoying.
Yeah.
One, because you can't do the thing you want to do, and then two, you kind of inadvertently hit the ref. And I think every time somebody does that, you're like, oh crap, are you okay? Are you gonna be pissed?
Yeah. Right. They're not wearing, they don't wear pads, and then they're not wearing like face protection, really.
Yeah, usually not. Well, most refs have some kind of pads. Most of them have
a little light
like
padding,
baby shin guards, and some of them have little pseudo hockey girdles and stuff.
Yeah.
They got little pads.
Yeah. So then, I guess if that was the thing you're going to say, only one of our games, I feel like they should have called a few more things early, and things kind of got out of hand afterwards. But yeah, overall, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I think that's more of a. I don't think they blatantly missed anything, and they did like a terrible job for that. But it definitely could have been better. A lot better.
Yeah. Our guy got hurt, so it kind of ticked us all off. But he had been tripped multiple. I think it was pretty blatant that he'd been tripped multiple times before.
And who knows if that changes the outcome or anything, but that was my only gripe. And that, that it could be any ref in any league, really, honestly.
Yeah, that's why I say, do I think they should have called stuff? Yes, definitely. They should have called more stuff before. And hopefully it wouldn't have gotten to that place. He wouldn't have gotten hurt. But I'm also more used to refs not calling a lot of that kind of stuff.
Anything. Yeah.
Well, I'm also
icings, so
I am used to refs that don't call anything a lot. So calling any kind of penalty and calling icings was like a nice, oh wow,
right.
You're watching the game. That's cool.
Yeah. The bar is pretty low for us.
Yeah, that's what I was saying is it could have some of the reffing been done better. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But it was not terrible by any means.
Yeah. And it was interesting. A couple minor rule changes. There's blue line icing, which I heard one ref explaining to another ref in the middle of one of our games, which was funny. And it was 12-minute periods, right?
Yeah.
12-minute stop time. So, yeah, just a little different.
Yeah, which is good. And that stuff was explained in an email beforehand.
Yeah, and he explains it. That's one of his locker room speech things as he goes over
Yeah.
the specialized rules.
Yeah, which was good. And yeah, I'm not surprised the refs do that. I mean, we have refs that don't know the rules for the league that they've been roughing in for
Yeah.
20 years still.
I
So,
found it amusing.
I mean, I explain rules to the refs a lot,
No.
you know.
No.
The one thing I didn't care for with ref knowing rules is the our championship game. We made it the championship game. Was tied at the end, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm saying this is the captain. I had no idea what was happening. I feel like the refs didn't really know what was happening. The scorekeeper didn't really know what was happening. I feel like Nick was the only one who knew what was happening there.
Right.
Which I get it. You probably don't expect it to be tied, but it's also a thing of, hey man, your whole thing is you want there to be every game be a tie.
Yeah.
Maybe tell us what goes on in the tie.
Right.
Or as you see the game's getting staying very close the whole game, maybe say something. Because he did come watch most of those games, at least most of our game on Sunday. I assume he watched most of all the games.
Yeah.
And again, not a huge deal, but I don't know, would have preferred to not have been put on the spot for, hey, figure out what you're doing right away. Would have liked to have had a moment or two to think about it. Again, because I am super overthinker, paranoid person, I would have liked to have had the night before be able to bring up an Excel spreadsheet to make some charts and graphs to figure out what we're going to do. And I run some stuff through, some AI models to come up with the best possible shootout lineup. I'm only partially kidding, and I think you know that.
Yeah, I know. I'm assuming you have this. We played this goalie in our regular league, so I'm assuming you have some of this data charted out for potential playoff stuff.
I got it all ready to go. It would have been nice to have known that beforehand. So that I felt like that was a little bit of a miss.
Yeah.
I'm not that upset again because I know it was a weird situation to have that actually get to a tie, but again,
Right.
Maybe let people know. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, you could have said hey, it's tied. That at this stoppage with 5 minutes to go, it's still tied. Hey guys, just FYI, everybody.
Right.
Go tell the benches or something like that. That'd have been.
Yeah. Or include it in your email in the case of a playoff tie.
Yeah. Would have been nice to know.
Yeah. I will say with the periods and everything, I don't think we ever waited very long for a game. I think we started the day off early, which was nice, and then even when we had a midday game, things were running on time. So that was kudos for that, keeping the games
surprising,
pretty tight. Yeah, I mean we played in other tournaments. It's you wait a half hour for your game. You're half hour past your start time.
That's I think more what we're used to. Okay, you have the first game, great. You're going to start probably on time. You have your next game is at 4:30. Well, it might be at 5. Right. Maybe we'll see how the games go. Might be closer to 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Right.
So yeah, that is a good point. It stuff did go quickly. I don't think anything was off by very much. Yeah, like you said, our second game on Saturday was 2/3 through the day, and it was fine.
Right on time. Maybe a couple minutes late, but essentially right on time.
Yeah, I mean it's rink time. A couple minutes is nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, our regular league, we've had, in our regular home league here, we've had starts pushed back half an hour.
Right.
Because stupid kids don't get off the ice.
Darn kids.
It's always kids. Kids are always the problem. They don't get off the ice. They don't understand how locker room numbers work. So they just take every damn room.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, so do you have any other thoughts for the on ice product, the actual running of the games, how the games went?
I don't have anything, no. I mean, like you said, the refs were pretty good. Overall skill level matchup was as best as could be expected. Yeah, I mean, it was just a ton of fun, honestly. Had a lot of fun playing the whole weekend.
Yeah, and I will say it's better. I have a much better idea of how the matchmaking works for teams now that we brought our
Yeah.
own team and kind of know where everybody was at versus some of us playing with another team.
Right.
And I have no idea what those guys, how they said they were or weren't or what. And we did not do well. But
Yeah,
I don't know how
previously,
that
yeah.
is. I don't know if they were saying that they were better than they were or what.
Right.
You know, so that's so that was good to see that it did actually work out. Okay, so then kind of the last couple things that we had is I was saying some kind of broad strokes of things. One thing I did find kind of funny is we did go down there. Yeah, we go down to Columbus, which is like a 2-hour drive for us. And we did wind up playing a team of people that we mostly play against up here.
Right.
It wasn't a team that we play against normally, but it was pretty much all players that we play against normally.
Yeah.
And that's who we played in the championship game, of course.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of funny, but seems pretty par for the course. Also, there was interesting, I don't know if I want to say weird, something interactions with teams before the tournament started.
Yes.
And that was something. That was definitely something. And that kind of makes me think is, should there be a way for teams to get a hold of each other, like kind of within the tournament ecosystem?
Yeah.
That might be kind of nice. I don't know how that would be.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like you said, they use like a weird system. I felt like they have 3 different websites that I would always check.
Yeah.
They have like their main website, the direct link, and they use league apps for registration. I just assume everything would be in league apps and you could message each other through there, but it's not. I think that's
Nothing's in
maybe
there.
like the ideal solution. But yeah, I don't know.
So I do think that would be a handy kind of thing to have something like that. So people don't have to go looking outside of that to try and find somebody on the team to get a hold of somebody and do that. It'd be nice if you could do it within all of that.
Yeah, or at least have like a captain's directory or something, like if you need to get a hold of some other captain.
Yeah, or at least say, hey, here's the teams you're playing if you need to get a hold of them for whatever reason,
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't care if they gave out, I don't know if I don't want to necessarily give my phone number. I don't care if they give out my email to the other captains who played, like, hey, you want to get a hold of me for whatever, kind of thing. That'd be fine.
Yeah, that's low stakes.
Yeah. Everybody's got my email. It's easy to get to. Hey, if you out there want my email, you can send me emails at thebeerleaguer.com. Right there at thebeerleaguer.com. You can send emails and send voicemails too. Yes, Mason, there's a way to send voicemails on the website.
Yeah. What is it though? The Beer Leaguer at thebeerleaguer.com or?
No, just go to thebeerleaguer.com and you can get everything.
Oh, I see. You go to the website. Okay.
Yeah, just go to the website. It's got all the stuff. It's got a contact. There's a contact page. You can contact me on there. You can send a voicemail.
You can text the show.
You can text the show. It's in the show notes. Just click the link. Send a text. It's totally anonymous unless you put your name on it. If you text it, all I see is the area code and the first 3 digits of your phone number. So I can't text you back. But I can.
Not a lot to go on.
I can see where your phone number's from, which in this day and age means absolutely nothing for where people are texting from.
Right.
But you can do that. People have done that, and it's cool. It's a cool way to get a hold and give your thoughts on things. If you have thoughts on this show, on this episode, were you at the Columbus Bash and you would like to talk about things? Or you at a different city's bash and you're wanting to compare and contrast? Love to hear about it.
Yeah.
Your thoughts.
Love to hear about it. Ironically, we our Verbo was next to some dude that was also playing in this tournament. So if you're that dude, text the show.
Hey guy. nice to talk to you again. That was really funny. He just like walked up and he's got his hockey bag, and I think he just noticed all the hockey stuff on the porch,
Yeah.
and like asked, "You guys here for a tournament?" And they're like, "Yeah, we are." And yeah, that's just where he lived. He just happened to live right there.
Nice wholesome experience.
The whole thing was a wholesome experience.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I will say I've had fun every year I've done it. This year was more fun because we did better, but also we brought our whole team, so it's like everybody like that you already know and are somewhat comfortable with, and so that made it a lot more fun too. So
And we all hung out. Whereas the previous 2 years,
exactly.
the group of us that went with the other team kind of hung out. Like we hung out, and then the other group, I don't know how much they hung out, if they did or not, but we didn't really hang out with them outside of the stuff.
Right.
Whereas this time it was, everybody hanging out, which was super fun. So any other thoughts? Any other overall thoughts? Specific thoughts?
Nothing really. I feel like we touched on it all. Again, it was a super fun tournament. Hopefully I get to do it again next year. See what life provides. But yeah, I love it. I would definitely recommend it.
I would as well. I'd recommend any of these bash tournaments. I assume that the draft tournaments are very similar, but it's just a different setup because you're not playing with a bunch of buddies. You're playing with all new people. Which might be great if you don't know anybody or you hate all the people you play with.
Yeah, or I'm a serial introvert, so that's not my cup of tea. But yeah, you go, because it's what you go drink beer with guys the night before, hang out at a bar, and that's how they determine like if they want to draft you or not. It's like,
well, they do
if you're a good hang.
No, it's they kind of put you in tiers, and then you captains. I think start off. They have captains for each team, and then they go up and they chug a beer, or I think you can do like a ginger ale if you don't want to do a beer, which seems way harder to chug a ginger ale.
Yeah, but a lot more bubbles.
Yeah. And it's whoever is like the order of finishing of that gets to pick for the next round. Like the order that's the order for the next round, and like I said, every round is I think supposed to be like similar skill set level. And then there's like a goalie round, and I don't know if you have any way of knowing any of these people or anything about them. So you might just be blindly picking on how somebody looks.
Well, I think there's a mixer in there somewhere, and
I don't know where the mixer falls in with it. So
yeah,
and then it's just like the people that get picked. So captains do it, then they pick their first round. First round people do the chug, and then that determines for the next round, and they pick for the next round, and that goes up and do that, and they go through that way. So yeah, that's at least that's my understanding of it.
Yeah.
Again, I've never done it. It's too much no control over things. I can't handle that. I can't handle that for a team.
That's fair.
I need my control over stuff. But yeah, these have always been super fun. I think it is definitely more fun if you know everybody that you're going with, and hang out with them. And I definitely recommend trying to get like an Airbnb over, or all staying in the same hotel. That works too. Like, I assume there's a lot of people stay in the same hotels, and just be the weirdos that hang out in the lobby or something like that.
Yeah.
Or what we've done in the past is kind of go commandeer some of the conference rooms or whatever that aren't locked, and just hang out in there and drink beer all night. That's the thing you can do too, or just hang out in the hotel parking lots and talk to people as they come in. That's another thing. These are all things that I've been a part of at tournaments to do. Yeah. So, and they're all fun. They're all good times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely recommend doing one of these BLPA tournaments. Yeah, they're a ton of fun. I'll put links for their tournaments down in the show notes. If you can't remember BLPA, too many letters, there'll be a link in the show note for you to click and do that. Also down in the show notes, again, there's the text link stuff. There's the link for thebeerleaguer.com, which has all your info for everything on there. Like I said, that's how you can get a hold of the show for everything. You can send voicemails. You can just send regular messages, like an email kind of thing. You can send text messages. It's at the Beer Leaguer at all the social things too. So you can find, me on there. Occasionally Mason makes appearances on there, but he doesn't check any of that. He doesn't care. I'm the one that responds to everything. So you can do that stuff too. And like I said, share your experience. I would love to do kind of like a follow-up with some people's experiences on here. I would love to get some voicemails from people that were at tournament or other tournaments
Oh yeah.
and respond to them. I think that would be fun and hilarious to hear what people thought. But hey, maybe if you're one of the teams that played against us, that would be great. Love to hear what you guys think.
You guys are a bunch of dicks.
I would. I mean, I hope not, but maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
I tried not to be. It's probably you. Everybody gets
I
mad
am
at
the
you.
biggest dick.
Nobody gets mad at me out there. I am a little sweetheart that everybody loves. So, I am. It's the beard. Everybody loves it.
We know you are low key like the roughest player to play against, and I'm probably the nicest player to play against.
I don't think any of that's true at all. None of that is true.
Sure. And I always get people always yapping at me, and so it's always me.
It's always you. It's never me. I've never had anybody yapping at me. At any of these things, even in our regular stuff, nobody yaps at me.
Yeah,
or if they do, they're like, "Hey, how you been? Doing all right?
that's true.
Having a good year? Well, that's cool."
Giving you a cup check. I wore your jersey the one game, and someone gave me a cup check. That was fun.
That's how that works. Just how that goes. They want to make sure it's not there. They want to make sure that it's still not there. Everybody
If it
hears
is there,
rumors.
it's weird.
That's when they get scared if it is there. Like, wait, what's going on? You're supposed to be wearing one of those. All right, we're way off topic there. Way off topic. Nobody needs to hear about me not wearing a cup. Nobody wants to hear about that.
Tales for another day.
Or maybe you do. Let me know. Maybe you do. I'll talk all about it.
Hit up the show.
Yeah. So, okay, that's going to wrap things up. Mason, thank you very much.
Of course.
Dear listener out there, thank you very much. I'm saying this as you specifically, the listener, not that there's just one, but just you that's listening right now. Thank you. I appreciate you listening. Thanks a lot, everybody. Go check out thebeerleaguer.com. Everything's on there. It's the best place on the internet. Catch you in the next one.